All right, so in this part of the challenge, you're going to choose a pair of functions from this list. So either this pair or this pair, etc., etc. And then you're going to graph both of the functions in your notebook. So I'm going to go ahead and show you an example. My example pair of functions is not on this list because you have to do this on your own with a pair from the list. So my example, if you go to your notebook and write down a pair of functions, you can copy these notes down, you don't have to, but my example functions are going to be f of x equals x minus 4 and g of x which is 2x plus 2, okay? So what I have to do first is write the functions down in my notebook and then graph them. So you can do this either way. If you know how to graph linear functions, which these are linear functions, they are equations of lines, you can go ahead and graph them. If you don't know, the easiest way to do it is with a table of values for now, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and do a table of values just in case you don't remember how to graph linear functions. So for f of x equals x minus 4, I'm going to make a table just with a few values. So here's my input x, my output is f of x. I'm going to try negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, and 3. When my input is negative 3, my function is negative 3 minus 4, right? I replace my x with negative 3. So my function is negative 7, my output. And so on and so forth. So f of negative 2 is equal to negative 2 minus 4, which is negative 6. F of negative 1 equals negative 1 minus 4, which is negative 5. F of 0 equals 0 minus 4, which is negative 4. Sorry, I'm not writing down my answers here. And then f of 1 equals 1 minus 4, which is negative 3. F of 2 is equal to 2 minus 4, which is negative 2. And f of 3 is 3 minus 4, which is negative 1. So again, you don't have to copy this down. This is my example. But if you don't know how to graph a linear function, you can use this as an example. Okay? So now I have a table of values for f of x, this function. I can go ahead and graph it. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and graph f of x. Graph of f of x equals x minus 4. I know that my x's go from negative 3 to 3, and my y values go all the way down to negative 7. So I'm going to try to find an axis. And I want you to graph this by hand because you should know how to graph linear functions, or at least you should know how to graph a table of values. That's really important. Kind of the first step towards graphing. Even if you don't know how to graph a linear function, you should know how to create a table of values and then create a graph that way. So here's my x and y axis. I'm going to go ahead and put in my notebook. And I know that I have negative 3, negative 7. So I'm going to go ahead and put the point negative 3, a point at negative 3, negative 7. So I know there's a point here at negative 3 down to 7. My second point is at negative 2, negative 6. And so on and so forth. And this will actually create a linear, oops, annoying. Okay. -2, -6. And I can go ahead and keep graphing my dots, and it will actually create this linear function. So there will be this line, which I'm going to go ahead and draw here for you. Where did it go? I don't know what happened there. Oh, sorry. Where did my graph go? Sorry about that. Okay, there's my graph. Put back -2, -6. And then I'm going to go ahead and make a line, because I will have a linear function. There it is. Okay. So it actually goes, there we go. I'm going to adjust it a little bit. Okay. So there's my linear function. And I have a graph of x -4. So you will do the same thing with both graphs. So I graphed f of x. I'm now going to go ahead and compare g of x, or graph g of x. So you can do the same thing. If you know how to graph a linear function, just go ahead and graph it how you know. If you know stuff like y-intercept and slope, you can use that. If you don't, your best bet is to make a table of values. So I'm not going to do it here, but I would like for you to pick one pair of functions from this list. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pairs. Pick one of the pairs, graph both functions in your notebook, and then take a photo of your two graphs and upload them here on Dreamseedo.